hello, most beautiful stars. Hello, good to see you, Lori, in the chat. I think I am on a bit of a delay, which is groovy. That's fine, right? We don't mind delays. I'm just making sure everything is up and moving accordingly. Okay, good to see you, Lori. So, yes, normally this is at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesdays, the Edgar Cayce Life Skills Study. Good to see you, Brandon. Yay. Um, Normally it is. Today got a little wonky. I've been having clients move schedules around rapidly all the time lately, and it's it's not the easiest. So I wanted to tell you all that next Wednesday it's not going to be at 2 either because I have a patron is going to be doing my quick timeline cleanse sale, and she is in Austria. So working within her schedule and my schedule, I'll be doing that next Wednesday when I'm supposed to be here doing this. So next Wednesday might be 6 p.m. as well. I apologize for that. I'm working. We all work it out together. We all live here together, so we work it out together. Speaking of the timeline cleanse, the Karmic Timeline Cleanse, what I am doing this month of November is I'm offering definitely to the patrons, but also to others to set up a time for 25 bucks, real cheap. Normally my full Karmic Timeline Cleanses are like an hour, hour and a half long. It's a long process, and they're 100 bucks. This is a quick, I'm going to go to when you did this in your past life, you decide to forget who you are and remove all of the negative energy from that moment. I'm going to remove it, and we'll proceed with moving all of the negative energy that caused. I might have to close my door. I'm not sure. Nope, it looks good. Okay, because I'm never live at this time, so my house is different. People moving about and doing things, which is groovy. Um, I'm offering that just that quick, get to the root of the problem. There's so many times people ask me, especially in Akashic readings, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? I want to get to the root of that, remove any of the negative energy that is encased in that forgetfulness, and get it out of there. So I'm offering that. I'm also, if you haven't gone to Stars of the Morning Light on Patreon yet, please do so. In November is the time when I am going, it's my giving back month, right? So on Stars of the Morning Light on Patreon, there's a free Meet Your Higher Self class there. The meditation had to be on a separate section just because of how their system is. So there's a free Meet Your Higher Self class that has a meditation attached to it. There's also some free old podcasts I have there for meditation. And the 2 classes that I am teaching in November with my current patrons are going to be available. One is already available. Are going to be available. You can even watch them live. November 19th is the next one at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Those are free. Just free. Just go. Just go and experience a little bit. Because it's mostly, it's not going to hurt. It's going to help. You know what I mean? It would help you. And I wanted to figure out how to make those free and available to people. And Patreon is the way I can, at least for this month. So, anyways, I hope everybody's doing well. Good to see you, beloved. Good to see you. Yes, good to see everybody. We should pick a card together, folks. And we are going to be back in the secrets of the universe and how to use them tonight. And remember, he's still talking a lot about the soul and what's going on there. So let's draw a card for everybody. What is going on here? Okay. Oh, interesting. It's been a very long time since we got this one. A very, very long time. Number 34, passion. So this is the sacred geometry of passion. I'll read this quick to you. The frequency of passion reminds us that beneath every intense emotion lies the hidden gem of insight, balance, and calm. It assists us in finding the balance within this intensity, moving us from chaos to calm of its core, where we can let its long lasting wisdom fill us up. Oh, fascinating. Okay. So, here we go. Sacred geometry of passion. See all that fiery? And then that cool, calm center, the core. Kind of when you just surrender and let go. And you go, okay. You know, when we get angry, or when our ego, I know beloved's gonna love me when I say that, or when our ego, springs up and says, hey, I didn't like that. Oftentimes it is because something is not okay with us. When we're angry or when we are really passionate, fiery, right? It's because it feels like something's not okay with us. So within that is that wisdom. Within that is that calm. Within that is layers and layers that you got to go through to get to the why and the how. All right, guys, I'm going to jump right into this because I have a feeling I know why this card was picked, and it is more about the surrender aspect with passion. It's so hard to surrender. So hard. So where we left off before, and we are in my old school Edgar Cayce on the secrets of the universe and how to use them. This is such an old school book. First, this was published in 1989, and I believe this copy is from 1989. We were talking; they were about to go into the sixth sense, and I think I stopped there. We stepped a little bit out of dreams. And then they wanted to start talking about the sixth sense of things. Good to see you, Max. And for those who might be listening later, I do say hello to those in the chat when I can. So good to see you, Jackie J. It's the community here. We do try to say hello to one another. So prior to this, when we were reading before, we left it off with the dreams. And I have to say, I think I'm going to do an episode about dreams because I do not view dreams as much as others people do as far as the amount. Like, I just don't put as much stock in it as other people do. But Cayce does as well, though. Cayce will say, this is what he'll say. Here we go. We can learn more about the secret world of our soul through dream study than any other way. That's legitimately out of his book. It was like the last thing we read, really. I do believe you can examine your soul with it. I don't believe everything's a premonition. I don't believe that everything that your subconscious is throwing the junk out is true. And I had to say, I was doing a reading for somebody the other day, and she asked about her and her husband, and she's like, well, I had a dream once, and I think that's our past life together. And I was like, okay, well, we'll see. And I told her all this stuff, and I said, and they want me to let you know that, so what you thought is not accurate at all. Sometimes our subconscious is just giving us weird dreams because it's getting rid of all the junk, all the nasty that we take in throughout the day. But sometimes it's there to analyze, but it's for our sole reason. It's not a whole bunch of other stuff. For the majority. That's for me. That's how I view it. I don't think everybody is prophetic in their dreams. I just don't. I just can't. I just don't. There's no other way to say it. I will tell you, I'll be putting together curriculum for mediumship for the Patreon post holidays, because there's a lot of mediums in the Patreon group. I have not had to even think about that since I shut it down in my early 20s. I have not even had to think about it or deal with it, or I just haven't in 20 years. And I'm in this weird 20-year like ending of a 20-year cycle, it feels like. So I find it odd that I have to go back to when I did use that and look at all this stuff and help these other people learn how to, and how they can explore it and work with it. And one of the things that I know we will talk about is there a lot of mediums, they don't even know they're really mediums until somebody informs them, because they don't know any different. They're born with it. But they also have some kind of co-gift. They have some kind of co-gift. Most gifts have a co-gift. And I will tell you, mediumship, man, one of the co-gifts that is there often is dream work. I more mediums I know than not, one of their co-gifts is actually dream work. So for those people, yeah, utilize your dreams. Do all that sort of work in your dreams. The average Joe on the street, yeah, I think it's good to look at for your own personal growth and what your subconscious is trying to get rid of, right? But that's about as far as we can take it, in my humble opinion. So, that is where we left off. I'm going to start reading, folks. It's good to see you, Susie. Yes, it's good to see you, Max. Yes, everybody. Lovely. Good to see you. Okay. Commonly considered merely intuition, the sixth sense is not intuition alone. If it were, it couldn't be trained. A woman asked Cayce how to train her intuition. He answered, "Train intuition? ? How would you train electricity?" He went on to make the point that intuition is not trained, but governed through ideals and purposes by keeping the mind, body, and soul attuned to crystalline forces rather than earthly forces, by listening to music that comes from the spheres. Oh, don't you love that? Don't you love that she asks just a simple thing of like, hey, how do I train my intuition? And he's like, you have to listen to the music the crystalline music that comes from the spheres. Don't you love it? Could you imagine being that woman? She'd be like, what the heck is that? Let's continue, because I will talk. In training the sixth sense, your desire governs. Constant mental visioning in the imaginative forces towards the desired experiences develops the ability of sixth sense to to assess the daily experiences of your soul. Your soul body is built by the impressions your soul mind receives. I'm going to read one more paragraph and then we got to talk. I do want to remind those who might just now be listening, this poor woman, they basically turned to her and they said, oh, you can write some? Okay. I mean, she was already a writer, but they said this is all of his readings that we think are about this topic. Now you have to go through all these readings and pick from all of them and put them in other piles and mold it all together into a book about your soul and the universe and the laws and all sorts of stuff, right? Because one of these chapters is about karma. I mean, there's a lot. So this poor lady, and I gotta give it to her because she didn't write it that well, but it's because it's like she's pulling from so much that she's trying to take so much material and put it in this pretty little package, and it's difficult. I feel compassion towards her of 1986, probably when she started this. Oh. So it reads differently because she's trying to put in idea after idea, like line per line is a new idea. Um, there's very few writers that actually, from fiction or nonfiction, that write that way. So I'm going to read one more paragraph and we'll talk about what was said. The universal law of like begets like governs the character and content of dreams. In dreams, as well as in waking life, you further that perceived as needed to propagate yourself. If you sow the seed of honor, you reap glory. Seeds of seeds of corruption produce a harvest of shame. Dreams are activities of your soul in the unseen world. It is a mistake to believe a dream world isn't real. Okay. This is what I meant by that. We went from talking about can you train your intuition into Cayce's response there of listening to the crystalline spheres. So we got to talk about that. Back into desire actually is governing a lot of your sixth sense, which I would disagree with that. We'll talk about it. And then into universal law of like begets like, the character of content of dreams. Wow, that was in 3 paragraphs, folks. So let's do this. Let's talk. I guess I'm gonna go backwards. Dreams. He just tried to say your dreams are trying to show you, right? In dreams as well as in waking life, you perceive as needed to propagate yourself. If you sow the seed of honor, you reap glory. I guess if you seed the seeds of horror, you also get gory. So they're trying to say that your dreams are going to be showing you how you should be living life or what you should be doing. I agree with that to a point, but there's not enough explanation for it. What I meant when I first opened and what they're trying to say here is that your dreams can show you things that you need to heal. Your dreams can show you things that you need to let go of. Your dreams can show you all sorts of stuff that you need to maybe focus on in life. The characteristics within yourself that either you honor to receive glory or you need to wash away with and heal and cleanse it to be better. That's all they're trying to say. That I agree with. Dreams can do that. That I agree with. And then they end that paragraph with, it's a mistake to believe the dream world isn't real. I do believe the dream world is real. I mean, all is real and all is nothing. It's fun to do that to people. Let's go back up to, okay, then the middle one that we read. In training the sixth sense, your desire governs. Constant mental visioning in the imaginative forces towards the desired experiences develops the ability of the sixth sense to assist the daily experiences of your soul. Your soul body is built on the impressions of your soul mind receives. Jeez, that's what I'm saying. This is one paragraph. What they're trying to say there, even though they just said there is no training your sixth sense, they're trying to say it's always present. You can always access it with your imagination, with envisioning, with manifesting, right? This is where we get the concept of vision boards. And they use a lot of words to basically say the more you envision it, the more you're going to live it. There you go. The more you envision it, the more you're going to live it. Lots of words to just say that. And the reason they're tying it into the sixth sense is because the sixth sense is attached to all that. Because the sixth sense is outside of our doubt. Your sixth sense lives outside of your doubt, and that's the only reason people might not be accessing it is because they have some kind of doubt. So let's go back up to this is after the woman asked, and he said, train your intuition. What? He went on to make the point that intuition is not trained, but governed through ideals and purposes. By keeping the body, mind, and soul attuned to crystalline forces rather than earthly forces, but listening to the music that comes from the spheres. If you can go back to when he was talking about the influence on us, what influences us, the beings from other places, other dimensions, past lives, all that influences us. He's trying to say you don't train your intuition. This is how I want to put it. You don't train your intuition, you train yourself in how to use it. That's the only difference. You don't train your intuition to how to work. It just works. But us humans, we have to train ourselves as to how does it work most successfully for our individual selves, right? So the human part of it, the removing the doubt that blocks you in the first place, that kind of thing, training and experiencing, right? That's why the next paragraph went into experiencing. The ideals and purposes of the experiencing. Now, when he's talking about listening to the music that comes from the spheres, this poor woman, when she wrote this, I can just imagine she's like, I have no idea what the hell that even means, but I gotta write it down. You know, I did pick up the Edgar Cayce companion book. I just haven't gotten into it yet. Basically, guys, to put it in a nutshell, keep your eyes on the divine. Keep your eyes on the divine. I was in a conversation with somebody, I don't know, Monday or so, and they were asking me all these questions about the stars and all these questions about this and different dimensions and they were asking me a lot of questions. And all I could do at one point is I had to stop and say, listen, all that you are asking me is still comparing it to 3D. So the answers that person was seeking are not present because they're still comparing the concepts that they're thinking about and the ideals that they're thinking about. They're still attached to 3D and comparing them to what they know in 3D. So when Cayce's saying, listen to the music from the spheres, set your eyes on the divine, you have to eventually open up enough to hear outside of 3D, maybe see outside of 3D, right? We can't keep comparing what happens outside of 3D to 3D. It's not going to make any sense. It's literally just it's not going to make any sense. So I kind of had to stop that conversation there of like, hey, none of this is going to make any sense to you until you stop doing that, right? Which I don't know how I think they kind of just went, okay, because that's it. I mean, there's nothing, I can answer all of them, but what I say is not going to make any sense because I don't compare it to 3D. So that's what he's trying to say. Set your eyes on the divine. Okay, we just went through those 3 paragraphs. I'm going to go to where we were before, or where we left off. It is also a mistake to leave the sixth sense submerged, unnoticed, untrained. If you left it to its own If you left it to its own, it makes war, expressed by disease, temper, and the whole host of negative emotions, especially anger and loneliness. Wow. This fact alone accounts for why it is essential to patrol your thoughts, to use the imaginative forces as aids to attunement to your ideals and purposes. These are what your soul these are what your soul cares about and the job it has to do. If the ideal is lost, the soul loses its ability to connect the spiritual forces. Okay. In a nutshell, they're saying if you don't pay attention to who you are, if you don't bother to try to remember who you are and that you are the ultimate, that it's not just. So I put it out there on a short this past week. I had a bunch of my in-person students and some of my online Patreon students at my house on Saturday for a lovely gathering. We sit around a fire. Everybody gets to share. We ask questions. We talk. Just a little quarterly thing with students, right? Towards the end of it, I was thinking, out of all the conversations, I guess it was the next day, out of all the conversations, kind of dawned on me that, everybody talks about superhumans. We do. I mean, we have comic books, we have all this stuff. And a lot of people talk about how we could become that. We could become superhuman. I want to throw out there, what if there is no becoming of it? That is actually more of our natural state ever. That the meat suits that we're wearing now and how we operate now, and I will bring this back to the material we just read. What if, because of the forgetfulness, the fog, the error, however you want to refer to it as, the 3D, duality, polarity, right? If because of that, we don't recognize how we are actually we're superhumans. And if you want to go back to creation, the stories of creation, regardless of what religion aspect you might be questioning or contributing to, it doesn't matter to me. There's always been some kind of creation something. Well, other than the Big Bang. That's separate to what my point is here. That humans were created to govern and protect and serve and love and cultivate the earth. Like that's a whole lot of what we're supposed to do, right? Why would you give such a huge task, such a momentous task, like that, to take care of this beautiful being, this earth being? Why would you give that to, who's here now? These mere little humans, right? That barely can do anything. Why would the creator do that? It doesn't make any sense. You would think that the creator would be like, "Ooh, you have all sorts of powers. Go protect her. You have all sorts of powers. Love on her. You have all sorts of powers. Go be good." I think that's more of our natural state. I really do. So when I hear people talk about becoming superhuman, I think you just gotta remember that is who you are. I don't think we're becoming anything. I think we just need to be who we are. That's my opinion, right? But it goes into what they're talking about here. About how if we don't utilize our super ultimate ability, right? As I would say in the Toth that we read by Dorel, he would say, we are the ultimate all the time. We are the ultimate. Humans are the ultimate. We sure don't live those expressions, now do we? We surely do not live that way. That's the dilemma. That's the problem. We know the problem. We're trying to talk about a solution, right? It is also a mistake to leave the sixth sense submerged unnoticed, untrained. If left to its own, it makes wars, disease, temper, a host of negative emotions, loneliness, anger. So if we are not using it, if we're not training ourselves to use it, if we're not using it, if we're not being our superhuman self, well, then the outcome ends up being all these negative things. And maybe it's because we're not using the all of us. None of us feel whole. None of us feel complete because we're not using our sixth sense. These are what your soul cares about, the job it has to do. If the ideal is lost, the soul loses its ability to connect to spiritual forces. Yeah. I'm going to keep reading. A soul cut off from its maker while in earth is miserable. We enter the earth in the body prepared by others. We leave the earth in the soul body we have prepared for the realm of the inter-between. Wholly dependent on what we've done about what we know to do. In between, there have been many choices. These choices have two possible results. Go away, I never knew you, or well done, good and faithful servant. In the secret world of the soul, concern is for eternal life. The developed soul doesn't care about money, fame, and prestige. It cares about its true birthright, faith, freedom, and will. The soul who has claimed its birthright knows that faith is like an ultimate bank account, where the more you spend, the more you have to spend. When you spend faith, it doesn't subtract from the balance, it multiplies. Unlike unspent money that grows by drawing interest, unspent faith shrinks. So if you don't use it, you lose it. It doesn't vanish, however, because even orphaned souls spend a tiny bit each day, even if unaware. Just by going to sleep each night, humans show faith that the morning will come. If we didn't believe that, we wouldn't go to sleep. I'm gonna stop there. So I do want to say, and hello, Mark. Good to see you, my dear. Like I said at some point during this, regardless of your religious affiliations or if you have none, I will tell you Edgar Cayce's material will always be more entrenched in Christianity because he was a hardcore Christian. He read the Bible religiously, right, is the word, right? Take this, though, with all the exact words that are used there with a grain of salt. That's why I'm going to kind of go back and say it. So they were saying, when the soul is cut off from the maker while in earth, it's miserable. That deep-seated loneliness feeling that most people hold. Some recovery groups will call it that God-shaped hole in your being that you're filling with other stuff. When humans don't have something, it's kind of, when humans don't have something to have faith in, they do feel a void. It is now, and I've often wondered this. I've listened to a ton of different researchers of all different kinds. We don't really know, right, when the need to worship something, the need to have faith in something became a part of us. We don't have if you take all of the stories, yeah, all the stories are going to tell you it was the fall of man, right? At some point, that kind of thing. But if you don't believe that, and you're really trying to look for scientific evidence or anthropology, that kind of evidence, or any of it, we have no concept of when that actually happened. But it is within a human to worship and have faith of something. And unfortunately, it becomes faith into something else or worship into something else. Hence, also, when they were trying to say if you're not using your sixth sense, it can become war, temper, anger, right? War, temper, anger. I'm going to read this card one more time. The number 34, passion. The frequency of passion reminds us that beneath every intense emotion lies the hidden gem of insight, balance, and calm. It assists us in finding the balance within this intensity, moving us from chaos to calm of its core, where we can let its long-lasting wisdom fill us up. Passion. Passion. Look at that beautiful sacred geometry. And don't we use that word often when we're talking about faith? Passion. It's so interesting how one word could represent the intensity of anger or the intensity of worship. Isn't that fascinating? Everything is in degrees when you study hermetics. So when they say, you know, our soul moves on, these two choices have possible results. And they're trying to say, the creator will say, I never knew you, or the creator will say, good job. I don't know if it exactly goes down like that, but that's for everybody to make their own decision. What I wanted to talk about is it says it cares about its true birthright, faith, freedom, and will. Faith, freedom, and will. Truly, there ain't nothing more important than that. And that is your birthright, by the way. That is your birthright. Your birthright is to be superhuman and experience complete faith, freedom, and will. It's an amazing thing. That will never change. That will never change. And your faith, really, for most of us, should be within ourselves. You should have faith in yourself. That's the problem, is not enough people have faith for themselves. The soul who has claimed its birthright knows that freedom comes from aligning with universal law. The soul who has claimed its birthright knows that will is the gift of the loving Creator who dared risk losing us so that we might find ourselves. The consequences of misusing this heritage of will are no secret. We suffer them daily. Every time we act on an impulse that contradicts the influences we would rather have shape our lives. In the secret world of the soul, misapplication of will actually separates us not only from our best efforts, but from the infinite. And I agree with that. We'll keep moving on, but I want to tell you I agree with that. The hope of the soul is to become one with the spiritual mind that created it. Through telescopes, scientists observe the spiritual mind at work creating new stars. We see it working in us when we, for instance, know things we haven't learned. The spiritual mind is perhaps most visible in Earth's planet kingdom, the plant kingdom. Plants reproduce themselves by the same principles that govern the spiritual mind's creation of itself. The universal laws of attraction, like begets like. Oh, I see what they're saying. Like how the plants, oh, I see what they're saying. How plants just attract what they need, and really it's all that neem underneath there and all the mushroom stuff, but and then they just reproduce. Like you get more and you make more and you create more and you create more and create more. Like they don't know any other different. Like begets like. Like the orchid that replicates a female wasp. Oh, like a orchid that replicates a female wasp to ensure its own pollination. We replicate ourselves so that we need will to draw to us. That's literally how that's written. We replicate ourselves so that what we need will be drawn to ourselves. The orchid itself, by attracting a male wasp. Wow. I didn't know that. Did you guys know that? If you're listening to this later or not in the chat, who knew that? Orchids act like wasps to attract them. Wow. This is fascinating, guys. Orchids will act like a wasp to attract the male wasp to ensure that they're pollinated. This is fascinating. I didn't know that. You knew that, beloved? I did not know that. I don't know much about plants. That is wild. That is wild. We replicate ourselves so that what we need will be drawn to us. Let's keep going. The spiritual mind of the universe is not the entire mind of the Creator. It was created by the Creator, the first creation, and is creative. Some other names for the spiritual mind are superconscious, mind of God or the Father, universal mind, Christ mind, the divine, the Lamb, the Shepherd, the door, the way, the I am, the our mind, the Son. They just gave a lot of names. The spiritual mind is the collection of all knowledge since the beginning. It is the bearer of the soul's mind. Must cross to reach oneness. I'm going to read that again. It is the barrier the soul's mind must cross to reach oneness. It is known as the door upon which the soul's mind must knock. Depending on the soul's purpose, the spiritual mind may function as a subconscious mind while the soul is in the borderlands. It answers the call of the soul's mind. It does not force itself on the soul. It awaits on the other side of the door until called by some aspect of the soul mind. Jeez. Whew. That was a lot, wasn't it, folks? Basically, I want to go back to all of that, what all I just read, going back and forth like that. They actually wrote in a very quick... She summed it up before. She summed up all of that before. Where I had said I agree with that. Basically, hi Chloe, good to see you. You didn't miss anything. There's a lot there. Faith, freedom, will. Those three things can get you to what they're trying to say, to where the Creator is, and that is the ultimate goal, is to get to the all, to experience the all, and the Creator of it, right? First you got to experience the all and whatnot. They just said a lot of things, but what it really boils down to right now, and this is what I wanted to go back to, and I was trying to find, there we go. I'm going to read this. We had just read this in the page before. Just by, that's not it. Where she was saying the faith in ourselves. Where she was saying, I totally lost it, but that's okay. I'm going to keep going. Having the faith in yourself is where it starts, right? Having the faith in yourself is where it starts, and then you can utilize your will to do what you should be doing, right? And I hate using the word should, but here we do talk about purpose and ideals. And when you do that, you experience the freedom. And with the more of the freedom and the more experience of the will and making the choices based out of faith of self first, and then you can move to higher ground of the divine, right? You can move on up to steadfast focused on the divine. All of that is to get you closer to the Creator. What we just read, going back and forth with a whole lot of the soul mind, spiritual mind, soul mind, spiritual mind. What a tongue twister there, right? That is them separating, let's say, higher chakras or higher dimensional thinking, like a spiritual mind, right? Consciousness is frequency, frequency is consciousness, so higher consciousness minds, opposed to like the soul mind. The soul mind knows everything. The soul mind has been with you from the beginning to now. It actually knows everything. So does the spiritual mind. But the two communicate very differently. Sometimes you're in with the spiritual mind. You're sitting there, you're meditating. Woo, you are out there. You are doing it. You're having a good old time. You're using your spiritual mind. Other times, they even said, there's going to be people that they go to learn something and they go, oh, I already know this. I actually had a student on Saturday at the house that said that. She said, I realized after she had her Reiki master class with me, she wanted to learn everything. She was desiring to learn all this stuff. And so she got all these books and she would start reading and she'd be like, oh, I already know this. Because she allowed herself to be open, her soul mind to be open to the fact that, yeah, you already know that. There's nothing that we don't know, right? So they were trying to talk about the communication back and forth, spiritual and the soul that's always been with you, right? Because the soul that's always been with you, it at some point, you forgot who you were. You forgot that you're superhuman. Your spiritual mind has never forgotten that. Okay, moving on, because I think I got about a page left. How are we doing, folks? Oh, and I see Jules is in here. I see Chloe. Hello, hello. Okay, whew. This book is kind of tongue twister at times. The soul mind chooses to become one with the spiritual mind. The soul mind participates and collaborates in its own redemption from separation. The soul mind has the option to open the door of the spiritual mind, not the other way around. That is very clear, folks. Not the other way around. The final choice to open the door is made by the soul mind, often after collaboration with the conscious and subconscious minds. Opening the door is risky to the earthly subconscious mind because it doesn't want to give up what it thinks is control. But majority rules. If the soul mind and conscious mind agree to open the door to the spiritual mind, the subconscious can't prevent it. I know you are all very intelligent beings and you understood that perfectly. Okay, so conscious mind is the one that pays the bills, grocery shops, cooks dinner, does all the work, goes to work, does this and that conscious mind, right? Then you have your subconscious mind. We know this is not going to be a show about subconscious. Way too big, right? Um, then you have your soul mind, which is everything you've ever done in all of your lives, past, present, you know it all, right? That's your soul mind, the consciousness that leaves and comes back, leaves and comes back. Then you have your spiritual mind. You can only access the spiritual mind if your conscious mind and soul mind agree and override the subconscious. Whew, there we go. It's a choice. It's a choice. In the secret world of soul, the soul can see that it is not perfect. Its thoughts are not always worthy of communicating with the spiritual mind. It desires to nestle in the, well, we know this, folks, don't we? Nestle in the dwelling place of correction as well as comfort. In or on the soul mind is imprinted the pattern of the Christ, which it wants to manifest in light as well in darkness. The soul in its secret place understands spirit. Spirit is the soul's own soul. Other names for the spirit are the universal soul, the soul of the soul, the oversoul, the God's soul, life soul, infinite energy, the servant, the collective soul, the first cause. Oh, finally, they get to one that I use, the first cause, the spark, the God spark, I call it the flame, because what's a spark going to get you? Light it up, right? That's a little Chicago for you. What's a damn flame, spark going to get you? Light it up. First cause. First cause. That's how I see it. First cause. Flame or first cause. Which is spirit. This spirit is the creator's own soul. Bingo. This spirit is the creator's own soul. The creator's soul, the soul of the soul. Guys, I gotta tell you, this is not easy to read. I've read the word soul now. My jaw is like hurting because of saying soul so much, I swear. Oh my goodness, too much fun. This spirit is the creator's own soul. This creator's soul, the soul of the soul, the soul of the tree are the same soul. And the soul of a tree are the same soul. It activates and animates all life non-selectively. It impels infinity, develops the soul's mind when asked, and helps the soul to cross the divine into the spiritual divine to the sun. It says S-O-N here. I would say S-U-N. The first creation. The soul also understands that spirit transformed through Christ is what makes spirit holy. In fact, the Holy Spirit is the Christ's own soul. The soul understands that in the Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Son is the mind of the Father, Holy Spirit is the soul of the Son, and that in the secret world of souls, all know of this truth, whether they act on it or not. Acting on it is difficult in earth with all its distractions, but in lucid moments of awareness, the soul makes its longings felt to express the secrets of its heart. If we hold very still and listen very carefully, we can hear the soul saying, Abba, Father, I surrender. Okay. This became very, very Christian, which I told you guys it would. Oh, I said soul a lot. To sum it up, that Trinity thing, though, I don't agree with that definition of the Trinity. I really don't. And I think everybody can kind of have their own form of the Trinity, the point is to have three, right? The power of three. Um, in Christian terms, I will tell you, I remember I had a Christian mentor. I was hardcore Christian for about 5 years. And I had an older Christian mentor. And I remember when I turned to her and I said, I think the Holy Spirit's feminine. It's all feminine energy. So that must be the divine feminine. You should have seen my mentor. Like, because I actually read the Bible, I don't just listen to what other people say. And I read all the words, and I read it a lot. Every time that it would talk about the Holy Spirit, it was all with feminine attributes and characteristics. They refer to it as the helper. Every characteristic when they were talking about the Holy Spirit was of feminine in energy. And I expressed this to her, and she just paused. And then I started going on examples, listing them. Look at all these times. And she just was like, wow, I never thought about it, Courtney, that way, because it's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's all supposed to be masculine. And I was like, yeah, I don't think that's right. So I do believe it is a trinity in any concept is good. You could see it as earth, human, God, creator, right? You could see it as father, mother, being. You can see it in, I put trinities of things together all the time. The power of three is very mighty, right? When you and I come together, there the divine will be, right? So, and that I got from Whitman, and Whitman surely was not Christian. That's poet Walt Whitman. I'm sure he got it from the Bible, but man, it spoke to me when he said it. Oh, Captain, my Captain. So I don't necessarily go along with everything they're saying as far as the Holy Spirit. Spirit, though, and you could, if it's the Nagamati, you could see it as the virgin spirit, which is where all creation came out of. If it's native, it could just be spirit, right? Other traditions or the New Age movement that's happening now, a lot of people just use the word spirit, right? There's so many different ways of referring to it as, but either or, it's referencing the God within, the slice of God that is also within you, the flame, the spark, the spirit within you, the first cause that as to why you are here. It's referencing that. And so if you also want to think about the Trinity, like my pyramid of self-ascension, 3 points, physical, mental, and emotional, spiritual, right? That make you physical. Mental and emotional are the same, right? And spiritual, those 3 components, that is you. That's the power of 3 right there. That makes you superhuman, right? So however you need to view it, that's where more we have to pay attention and care for ourselves and bring it back to faith of self. Faith of ourselves. It's so interesting because first the process that humans have to go through to even get to opening up to their spiritual mind is now so overwhelming that that's a lot of the problems. That's why they started this book with how to handle relationships, family relationships, spousal relationships, all of it, because there's so much more now preventing us. Distractions are not just this screen. Distractions are a whole lot of things that keep us away from our pyramid, keep us away from caring for ourselves physically, mentally, and emotionally, and practicing our spiritual things, right? It's whatever might do that. And we're headed into a season that's definitely going to do it, right? So it's very difficult for humans to find faith of themselves and the God spark within, because really Many of us are never doing what we want to do. Many of us are doing all the shoulds, not living in the ideals and purposes that Edgar talks a lot about in this book. We're doing a whole bunch of other stuff. So we continuously feel, even if we don't acknowledge it, that we're disappointing ourselves. I'm disappointing myself. I really want to do this. I really want to do this, but I have all this other distraction I got to handle first. And all that really does is it causes us to feel disappointed, that we can't trust ourselves. And then the ego does get involved, right, beloved? The ego does get involved. We push down our sixth sense more, that is nudging us to do what we know to do for ourselves. We push down that sixth sense even more, and then there is war, depression, temper, anger, because we're not helping our pyramid, the three-part self, as I teach in my moon manifesting class, the three-part self, we're not taking care of that. And now I'm saying have faith in that. It's so difficult because we can't even trust ourselves to do what's best for ourselves, let alone then have faith in ourselves. Do you see the problem? You can't have faith in something if you don't trust it. And you can't trust yourself if you continue to disappoint yourself. It's very, very difficult. I'm not saying this is easy. I'm saying that's what humans go through when our soul mind that knows everything that's ever been is watching us live this life and going, damn. Okay, I wish we would just manifest that stuff. I wish we would just do this. I wish we would just do that instead of working so damn hard. And then our spiritual mind's watching it too, going, wow. Wow. Because we're working with the majority of the time is our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. There is that spark in there. There is that spirit as they're talking about. So if you can think of it as work with your spirit within, the God within you, the divine within you, that attach it to your soul mind, because your soul mind would be like, stop working so hard, just do X, Y, and Z. You already know how to make all this happen. And then move into the spiritual mind that opens up to all of the spheres that he talked about at the beginning. You'd be awesome. But that doubt, lack of trust, and lack of faith in oneself gets us every time. So, remember, I'm going to read this card one more time though. It's Passion, the Sacred Geometry of Passion, number 34. When I read these words, think about this, please. Passion can be used as an adjective to describe anger very intensely, right? Any kind of a negative emotion. But it also, passion can be used to describe faith, trust, right? All sorts of good stuff. I'm going to read what the frequency is. Feel it out. Where are you at with it? So number 34, passion. The frequency of passion reminds us that beneath every intense emotion, so good or bad, the frequency of passion reminds us that beneath every intense emotion lies the hidden gem of insight, balance, and calm. It assists us in finding the balance within this intensity, moving us from chaos to calm of its core, where we can let its long-lasting wisdom fill us up. Passion. I was talking with someone, I believe that was yesterday. And it was a matter of me expressing to this person, what would life look like if you let go of hyper focused on others and put that hyper focus on yourself, what would that look like? And I want to ask you all that now too, because we are about to go into a season that is nothing but distraction. What if you, instead of hyper focusing on all the stuff you got to take care of, all the taking care of, all the taking care of, it's such a shame that in this season, our words are, we just got to get through the holidays. I just got to get through the holidays. Why are we getting through them? Why are we not embracing and experiencing them? But we all see it as, got to get through it. Post the holidays, I'll feel better. Post the holidays, I'll get some time for myself. Right? What if we took the passion we have and put it on ourselves? All the hyper focus that we put on other people, places, and things, that spark is waiting to be ignited. That spark is waiting to be ignited. I can guarantee you. So, oh, Beloved just said he's so chill that it pisses people off. I bet you that's actually very true. I bet you that's really true. I could chill with, actually, no, Beloved, if you and I ever hung out, I think my intensity, you'd be like, damn, get me away from this intense. Because I'm just intense wherever I go. It can be loving. It can be very loving and I just hold intense emotion. You know, it's just who I am. And I think if Beloved and I were in a room together, he'd be like, damn, she's too much. Oh, thank you, Robert V, for coming in. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It was good to be with you guys. Oh, it was such a good time with y'all. I hope you guys have a great week. I will be here Friday. Hey, and Friday, if you're listening to this, give me some suggestions that I should, talk about, because I surely, again, haven't had time to go into anything. So if you want, throw a comment in, throw something in the comments here. And let me know what to talk about on Friday at 11 a.m. 11 a.m. Yes. All right, guys. Cheers. Don't forget to go over to Patreon. In November, there's so much free stuff there. Utilize it. Oh, because we were just talking about it, doing Edgar Cayce. Free class over there. Meet your higher self. There's a class and then there's a meditation that's a part of it. Go do it. That higher self can help you through all of this. Go do that. It's free. I literally put it over there on Monday for everybody. Go experience it. It's free on Patreon. Just, you don't even have to subscribe to Patreon. You can just go utilize it. It'd be cool if you did. $5, $8. Definitely you could be a part of what's happening there, but utilize it. It's my gift to you all right? So cheers. Bye, everybody. Namaste.